Coach, before we look forward, why don't you kind of just recap thoughts on this past weekend with Oakland?
Yeah, obviously we got 3 wins this weekend, so that was good. Anytime you can win 3 baseball games on a 3-game weekend, there's a lot of positives to take away. I think the one big focal point for our guys will continue to be what can we learn while we're winning, because I do think we're talented enough, we're good enough that we should win a lot of games this year, but it doesn't mean that we're good enough to be content with where we're at either. So we had a lot of things go right this weekend, especially the first 2 games offensively and starting pitching were both strengths for us. We were lucky to have a really full bullpen for Game 3. Jack Corbell, he was giving us a good start when we took him out. We had a ton of guys to be able to keep the lead once we got it, to be able to keep it where it was at. It was good to get into a dogfight Game 3. We're going to be tested like that, obviously, a lot during the season in conference play. There's a lot of parity in our league, and there's going to be teams that we have really good games against. And just because you're tied in the 8th or down a run in the 8th or whatever it is not an excuse to lose a baseball game. And our guys did a good job of we gave up a 2-run lead late, and then the next half inning we came right back. There in Game 3, and in the bottom of the 8th inning, came right back, scored 2, took a lead. That was good to see from our guys, and then it was good to see Bachman go back out for the 9th and have a clean inning in the 9th. So there were a lot of things good to take away, but certainly a lot to improve upon as well.
Not to be a downer, but like you said, it was a pretty good weekend. So do you have any complaints at all? I mean, over the course of the 3-game stretch, or was it a pretty perfect weekend in your mind? Well,
I think there were some things, especially Game 3. That we just didn't have a very good start to the baseball game. We ended up taking Jack Corbell out after the 3rd inning, and Jack wasn't as sharp as he had been the previous 2 starts, but he was still pitching very well, and we played pretty sloppy defense behind him, which gave up the run that Jack did give up when he was in the game. And I thought offensively we got off to a really sluggish start too. 2 really quick innings to start that game. So I think making sure we talk about not caring who's in the other dugout. I think that was a perfect example that if we wandered through 9 innings of a baseball game like we started that game, we'd have gotten our butts kicked that day. And it doesn't matter who we're playing, we get our butts kicked. But it is difficult to flip the switch, and I do think our guys played a really good last 5 innings of baseball. But there's no way we can do that against a lot of the teams on our schedule and expect to win baseball games. So we do have to make sure we're doing as much as we can do to be prepared and to be locked in to start every game. And I think we did a pretty good job of that Game 1 and 2, and a really poor job of that at Game 3 this weekend.
You were supposed to start midweek action this week, but the Xavier game was canceled for tonight. Does pushing midweek baseball back another week, does that help you out a little bit, get extra practice time, or were you guys ready to get out there and play another game?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely always best to be able to get on the field and play. We talked about it after the game on Game 3 of the weekend, where to get yourself into game situations, to find yourself in a tie game late in the 8th, those are really tough things to try and recreate in practice or something, and really those are situations that just come up during games, and it's good to see how your team responds. We also have a lot of pitchers that are waiting for their opportunities right now, and when you cancel a midweek game, it pushes their opportunities back a little bit too. So that's a big frustration for some guys. We definitely want to be on the field as much as we possibly can be, and we have a lot of pitchers who are really, really good that haven't been able to show us or show their teammates and show themselves just how good they can be and what their role should be on our team. So we're definitely excited to get back on the field. We got a 4-game weekend this weekend, and definitely excited to get on the field and get to see those guys in action.
And then I know you now have another week to think about this, but do you have a set midweek starter yet, or is that kind of going to be a rotating door throughout the season?
Yeah, it'll be really dependent on what day of the week the game is on. Tuesdays will be different than Wednesdays. We always want to make sure our bullpen is locked and ready to go for conference weekends. So I think that'll have some say into what happens too. There are a couple guys on our team that definitely we feel more confident in as a starter versus a reliever. So right now we're throwing 4 guys out there on the weekends right now on some of those 4-game weekends. We've done some split starts with a couple guys on the 3-game weekends. One of those guys isn't going to start a baseball game, so it could be their turn to start on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how we feel about them out of the bullpen or other guys and the opportunities they get. But I would say right now it may work itself out as we get further into the Tuesday, Wednesday part of our schedule. But right now, I think that'll be a revolving door on who we feel best about that day and what's going to make us, how we can use our bullpen in that game, and then make sure that we're as ready as we can be for Friday as well.
And then I don't know how much of a chance you've had to look at them, but what can you kind of tell us about Youngstown State and previewing this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, and I think they're a scrappy team from what you can see on paper. I know we were watching some highlights from a series they had with Florida State where they played Florida State really tough. They didn't win a game down there, but they had a lead in 2 of them, I believe, and played really good baseball. So we respect our opponent this weekend. They're going to be very good, but like every other week, it really, to me, does not make a difference if we're playing Youngstown State, Florida State, or anybody in our conference. It's going to be dependent on how we show up that day. That I think is going to have a way bigger impact on the outcome of the game than who's in the other dugout.
I think we're good. Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.